Okay, everyone, let's take a few minutes here to talk about teaching vocabulary in an explicit manner. Specifically, what we want to give you here are some strategies that you might use in your classroom. The first strategy I want to highlight is actually in the readings for this week. If you've not done the readings for this week, there's a great article by Michael Kennedy and colleagues that talks specifically about things such as a content acquisition podcast and different strategies you might use to teach vocabulary in a very explicit manner. Let's take a listen as an example of what one of these might look like or sound like.
Equinox. Today we will talk about what an equinox is. We will be learning about the term equinox because of its importance in how the Earth rotates around the sun and how it affects the seasons here on Earth. Equinox is pronounced E-qua-nox. Equinox has two root words, equa, meaning equal, and nox, meaning night. So what the heck is equinox?
Okay, what you're going to learn, and this is, again, I cut it off because I think you're kind of getting the gist of it. Again, it's available in the readings for the week. You can read the article that talks about the development of these podcasts, but what you can see from them is they very explicitly go through the actual vocabulary, explain the vocabulary, actually break down the word itself, and put it into the context of the curriculum and the learning that's about to take place. And the podcast goes on a little bit further, but it's a very quick, sort of down and dirty way to teach vocabulary. Now, the greatest thing about this, I mean, it's probably not the greatest thing, but one of the great things about this is that students can use this podcast, whether they're at home or in school, on their own time. So they're not relying on you as a teacher all the time to continually reteach and reteach and reteach. This is something they can continually use. Okay, let's take a few minutes here and talk about the links strategy. This is one of the strategies that comes out of KU's Center for Research on Learning, and this strategy has been proven to be successful in classrooms in supporting gains in vocabulary and better performance across students and better outcomes across students. As you can see here in this graphic, the link strategy is literally linking the word and the definition through the reminding word, a linking story, and a linking picture. One of these things, it's kind of pulling together this chain to help the student to create memory, for students to actually use the word in context and to kind of create memory. When we talk about the linking strategy, we usually start with the word. So we use links strategy to transform potentially weak links between a word and its definition and build those stronger links through the reminding word, the linking story, and the linking picture, and then eventually kind of getting to that definition. So the rationale behind the link strategy is this, that we know students often have deficits in vocabulary learning overall, that this strategy by and large enables them to become active vocabulary learners, that students exhibit memory deficits, and this strategy gives them the ability to develop memory devices to aid in their memories, that students often do not connect new learning to current knowledge, and this facilitates those memories by making those connections, and that students often do poorly on tests where the mastery of vocabulary is emphasized, that by and large, where kids with learning difficulties break down on tests is when vocabulary is presented on tests and not either being able to answer a question because it has a vocabulary word in it and not understand the context, and or specifically when vocabulary is asked for on the test itself. And this enables them to perform better on those tests. It's a simple five-step process, with step 1, a listing of the parts, step 2, identifying a reminding word, step 3, noting a linking story, step 4, creating a linking picture, step 5, creating a self-test. Let's take a look at this in more detail. A link table is often used to identify and help the student kind of organize, again, we're talking about organizing content here around organizing the different parts of the linking strategy. The first part is identifying the term and actually putting the term in place. The second part then is actually putting the definition in place. And so we have the term and the definition. The third part is actually putting the word in place, the reminding word in place, and identifying what that reminding word is. And we're going to go over this in more detail in just a minute. The fourth part is developing a linking story, and then the fifth part is a linking picture. Now, what you're going to see here is that we're using multiple means again, right? We have the term, then we have a story where we're actually writing something, and we have a picture where we're maybe drawing something, obviously the definition. Now we're listing, and this provides us a way to list the different parts and get us down to, when we get the definition, being able to self-test. And I'm going to show you how all this works in just a minute here. Here's an example, looking at charitable, right? Charitable. Definition, it's giving in a generous manner, right? The reminding word is table because it has the word table in it. And the linking story is he gave lots of food for the table, right? Charitable. And then there's a picture of the linking story. There's another example, mortified, scared to death. And then they kind of go through the word and again the story and again having the picture around the mortician, right? Here's another example. And then another example. Again, you're seeing how the words kind of come together and the different steps. Now, let's talk about what good reminding words are. Reminding words sounds like or is part of the new word itself. So it either sounds like or part of that new word itself. It is a real word. It's not a fake word. It's not something we're making up. That it has meaning that you already know, that you already understand what this word means. Therefore, you can use it. And it helps you remember the new word. So these are techniques, and students are thinking about what that reminding word is. It has to be something that sounds like or is part of that new word. It's a real word that's already it's a real word in use. It's something they already know the definition of, as well as it helps them remember that new word. Let's talk about the story. A good linking story includes the reminding word or something of the form of that reminding word. It links the reminding word to the meaning of the new word, right? So it's linking the reminding word to the new word. And it is short and simple. A good linking picture, let's talk about that. It contains a part or related to the reminding word. Again, the picture is bringing in that reminding word because the reminding word is something we already know, so it's bringing that in. It contains part or related to important ideas and definition and helps them remember the new terms definition. Helps them remember the new terms definition. As students practice using any new strategy, they have to have teachers that obviously scaffold this for assistance. And again, this kind of goes back to the I do. So I do it as a teacher, which has a teacher then doing it and using it as a strategy in their classroom. And then we do it where the teacher and the class perform the strategy together. Everyone does it so that we're working collaboratively to do it, right? We're supporting each other in the use of this, working in teams to do it, to you do it, where specifically the students are independently using the strategy on their own. Learning the link strategy goes through that same process, right? Teacher creates a links device using a think aloud, so we use that table there. That the teacher and the class then create a links device together. They may draw one out on paper and or use a computer to do so. The students then work together to create it and to do it and to work together through this on a word that is determined by the group and or by the teacher. And the student then creates his or own devices without help.